Call to order the Finance Committee meeting for Monday, April 6th. We have two action items. The first item is to approve the Finance Committee minutes from February 26, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve. Second.
A motion by Mr. Bartlett, second by Mr. Latvala. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Second action item is a recommendation for approval of the fiscal year 25 annual comprehensive financial report. Do we have a motion?
Move approval. Second.
And then we're going to have a presentation
Correct.
by the auditors, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right, I'll call our auditor group, Leslie Porter.
Good morning, members. We have with us from Cherry Beckert, we have Lauren Stroke and Jeff Zeichner.
Hello, good morning. It's nice to see you.
Oh, you gotta turn your mic on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it working now? Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I promise I'm a better auditor than I am a presenter, obviously, but thank you so much for having us here today. We're here to take you through a presentation that really walks through the nature, the timing, and the extent of the audit procedures performed. Jeff is going to take over, but before I turn it over, we just really wanted to thank management for all of their hard work this year. We kind of took back over the drafting of the financial statements. You all implemented a new system. There was a lot going on this year, so we greatly appreciate all of the hard work that went into this.
And I hope we were somewhat helpful in providing some continuity. I know you've had a lot of change, and it makes things more difficult. And I was particularly thankful to have Lauren still on the team to get her institutional knowledge and just understanding how it all went. So hopefully we were able to provide a little continuity for you. We presented this presentation about a month ago. We went through it and told you what we were expecting to issue. I'm presuming you don't want me to go through the whole thing again, or I can just give you a quick update.
No, not necessary, and we do have the report. It was sent to us electronically. We have it physically, so we've had an opportunity to read. We appreciate it before, so give us your final version.
Okay, well, I'll just really quickly, really essentially the presentation as we presented last month was the same. We are prepared upon your approval and the board's approval to issue an unmodified opinion on your financial statements. That's the highest level of assurance a CPA can lend. It means that your constituents, your shareholders, your creditors, your grantors, or your donors can rely on your financial statements to accurately reflect your financial position and the results of your operations. So that's a very good thing. Also, because you're under government auditing standards, because you're audited under government auditing standards, there are extra layers of scrutiny. We are required to obtain an understanding of your internal control environment sufficient enough to perform our procedures. And if we become of a deficiency in internal control that rises to the level of a significant deficiency, we would be required to report that to you. And in that regards, we are prepared to issue our opinion without any internal control findings. Also, under government auditing standards, we have to examine your compliance with laws, regulations, statutes, grant provisions, contract provisions that could have a direct and material impact on your financial statements in the event of noncompliance. And we've completed our examination of that, and we also have nothing to report. So all in all, it was a very successful audit. Those are the best opinions you can get. And just back to the point of taking over your financial statements drafting this year. We were allowed to assist you in drafting. And then you always wonder whether or not your client has to take responsibility. They have to have the capacity to take responsibility for that. And we worked very closely with Leslie, and she reviewed the heck out of these things. These financial statements are so clean, they should float now. So we really had no concerns over this team's ability to take responsibility for that. But other than that, congratulations, very good results. We'd be happy to take any questions if you have them.
Any questions from the Finance Committee members? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting the annual comprehensive financial report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we will adjourn the Finance Committee meeting. And we will move to the Audit Selection Committee meeting and call that to order. We have one action item, and there is a correction on the minutes. The action item says approve the Finance Committee Auditor Selection Committee minutes. It should say approve the Audit Selection Committee minutes, and that should be within the entire document that you see in front of you. Need a motion to
Move
approve the
approval.
minutes. There's a motion, a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Latvala, the motion from Mr. Unk. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it carries, and we will adjourn that meeting and pass it to Chief.
Thank you. Good morning. I think we need to wait a few minutes for changeover to start the board meeting.
For the remaining board members should be here in a moment.
Okay, so we'll stand down for just a few minutes.
Mr. Chair, since we're in a recess, I did want to share something that was incredibly scary that happened over this weekend, but that was also just a miracle. So I was attending a Little League baseball game in Oldsmar with my 8-year-old son, and they came over the loudspeaker at concessions, and 2 children, a 3 and a 4-year-old, were abducted from the Oldsmar Beaverland Park. An assistant coach saw a man help them over a fence that was to the adjacent apartments. And within minutes, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office had a helicopter in the air and a K-9 unit, and the children were safely recovered in about 45 minutes in an empty, vacant apartment. No suspect in sight at that time, but just very, very scary for everybody involved, and cannot thank the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office enough. And I don't know if as an organization we can nominate those officers for maybe the Maroney Award considerations, but to recover children like that so quickly, I mean, that you can't even imagine just how precious that time was. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Welcome to the conference bridge. Please enter the conference PIN and confirm your entry. For instructions at any time, push star, then star. You are currently the only person in this conference. Please wait while others join.
Mary Grace. We're just trying to test to see if you can hear us.
She's not on?
It says you're not on yet. Okay.
You are currently the only person in this conference. Please wait while others join.
Here. This is for, from the Pinellas County Commission for National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County believes prevention is possible and that every child deserves to grow and thrive in a safe, supportive environment. And whereas early childhood experiences lay the foundation for lifelong success, and families who receive the support they need are better equipped to provide safe, healthy, and nurturing homes. And whereas JWB invested $126.4 million last year to improve the lives of 83,622 Pinellas County children and their families, with 99% of families receiving home visiting and mental health services and remaining free from abuse and neglect 1 year after program completion. And whereas effective child abuse prevention is achieved through quality programming, strong partnerships, innovation, advocacy, and collaboration to build resilient and supportive communities. And whereas continued investment in prevention and early child intervention promotes economic stability, reduces the likelihood of abuse and neglect, and ensures children have the foundation for lifelong well-being. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners that the month of April 2026 be recognized as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. In witness whereof we have set our hands and caused the seal of Pinellas County, Florida be affixed this 6th day of April 2026. Dave Eggers, Chairman; Chris Latvala, Vice Chairman; Renee Flowers, Commissioner; Vince Nowicki, Commissioner; Kathleen Peters, Commissioner; Chris Scheer, Commissioner; and Brian Scott, Commissioner. Congratulations.
Next up is our consent agenda. Take a motion to accept that.
Move approval.
Something pull off. Got a motion to approve?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up's our action items with Laura Stroop from Cherry Becker. You have to turn your mic on there.
Good morning, Leslie
Says
Porter,
board.
Director of Accounting Controller here for JWB, and I'll be introducing Lauren Strope and Jeff Zeichner. The FY25 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report was emailed to you, and you have a printed copy. This includes the audit report and management letter. It's been completed by Cherry Becker. The audit information will be posted on JWB's website upon board acceptance. We are required at JWB to, by the special act and state statute, to have an annual audit performed. This will be submitted to Pinellas County and the state of Florida. JWB is required to submit the annual financial report to the Florida Auditor General annually. The board is being asked to review and accept this report. Lauren Strope and Jeff Seikert are here with Cherry Beckert for a brief presentation, and then we are available to answer any questions.
Well, I am not Lauren, but Lauren is here. Lauren historically has signed off on your audit report. This year we kind of reallocated the work and I stepped in to help her out, but she still remained involved and was really, really helpful as you've gone through a lot of change, obviously, and Lauren really was able to provide a lot of continuity for my team and hopefully for yours as well. But we've just, we've gone through our presentation with the Finance Committee before, so just at a real high level. We are prepared upon your acceptance of the financial statements to issue our opinions on your financial statements. We're prepared to issue an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance a CPA can lend, and it means that your financial statements are reliable, that external users primarily can rely on them to accurately reflect your financial condition and the results of your operations. And then also under government auditing standards, we have obtained, in some cases tested your internal controls at least sufficiently enough to plan our auditing procedures. And if we were aware of a control deficiency that rose to a certain level of severity, we would be required to report it to you. And in that regard, our opinion in compliance with government auditing standards, we're prepared to issue an opinion with no comments. Also under government auditing standards, because we haven't scrutinized you enough, we're required to obtain or required to examine your compliance with statutes, contract provisions, laws, regulations that could have a direct immaterial impact on your financial statements in the instance of noncompliance. And in that regard, we are also prepared to issue our opinion with no control deficiency or no compliance instances of noncompliance noted. So with that, congratulations. It was a big lift for your team, a lot of change, but they really rallied. They worked closely with us. And I think we reached a really good result. So congratulations, and both Lauren and I are available if you have questions to answer them.
Okay, any questions?
Well, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you to Leslie and our team, and also to Jeff and Lauren and the Cherry Beckert team. Cherry Beckert's done a great job for us for several years, and you've done excellent work for other organizations I'm involved with. So just want to thank you guys for your work on this, and thank our staff.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Take a motion to accept it.
So moved.
Second?
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you
Next
very
on.
much.
Thank you very much. Approve the continuation of Resource LLC agreement with Jennifer Dodd, Associate Manager of Communications.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Dodd. I am the Associate Manager of Communications here, and I am here today to ask the board to approve a renewal agreement with Reservoir LLC for website consulting and developer services in the amount of $45,000 for the period of April 2026 to April 2027. This expense was built into the FY26 budget. Since contracting with Reservoir in 2018, JWB's web presence has expanded from a single primary website, jwbpinellas.org, to include 2 additional microsites, sleepbabysafely.com and turbobabies.com. Over the years, Reservoir has consistently maintained the integrity, security, and required Americans with Disabilities Act compliance of these sites through ongoing maintenance, upgrades, and quarterly audits of all 3 sites. Under prior JWB board policies, contract renewals required board approval if the annual amount exceeded $75,000. As the annual renewal cost for this contract had remained below this threshold, prior renewals were not presented to the board. In the March 2026 meeting, the JWB board approved a revision to board policies impacting contract renewals, and this is our first renewal to meet these new conditions. So today, we'd like to ask for the board's approval of this action item.
Just as a clarification, the reason why it's actually coming to the board is because it's been a total amount of, what was the total amount so far?
The entire contract over all of our renewal options has been $345,000 from April of 2018 to April of 2027.
And so that's the reason why it's being brought up to the board, not because of
Yes.
it's just 45,000, because it's
Correct.
$50,000 was the limit placed. But it was to allow the board to understand that this is an ongoing, and it's reached a potential 345,000. So.
Move approval? Okay, motion?
Second.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are waiting for Mary Grace to get back on the phone for the rest of the meeting, so we're gonna take a 5-minute recess until we can get her back on the phone.
Welcome to the conference bridge. Please enter the conference PIN and confirm your entry by pushing the pound key. To delete your entry, push star. For instructions at any time, push star, then star. You are currently the only person in this conference. Please wait while others join. To rejoin the conference, board conference calls. Push 1. To proceed to the conference bridge, push 2. To rejoin the conference, board conference calls. Push 1. To proceed to the... For instructions at any time, push star, then star. You are currently the only person in this conference. Please wait while others join.
I'm on.
Okay, so why don't we have Mary Grace call you, and then you can connect. Okay. So you want to call Mary Grace?
Can you say something, Mary Grace? I'm sorry, what?
Can you hear us, Mary Grace?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and resume our meeting at this time. Some things I want to bring up, some stuff as we continue to resume our meeting that I think needs to be pointed out. I think this board has lost its way. We're not talking about kids anymore. We've turned this thing into an entire political warfare. People are sitting on this board for their own political gain. People are sitting on this board for making sure they team up with another partner. People are sitting on this board for many reasons other than the children. You know, I spent 35 years of my career working on kids. I have led Safe Kids in Pinellas County. I've led Safe Kids for 5 counties. I have done everything in my career for kids, and I sit on this board because of the children. I don't sit on this board for the heck of it, or just for the fun, or because I want to have some political subdivision behind my name. It's about the children, and this board's lost its way. And our board members, unfortunately, we've turned this into something different. We have pending litigation that we can't even discuss right now because it hasn't gone anywhere. We got some other legal matters that we're going to discuss today that we've all received a letter from. So those are going to be discussed today. We're going to hear about that. And we need to get back on business. We need to get back on track. We need to get back to what JWB does, and that is nurturing and taking care and empowering our children in Pinellas County. That's what we're here for. We're here to make sure those kids get the opportunity to learn, the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to develop. And we've lost that. We've lost that as a board. Honestly, I remember the last meeting we truly discussed about our kids. It's been a while. And that's not what we're here for. You know, we're here to talk about the kids. We're not here for all this other stuff. We need to get the politics out of this. This board has never been a political issue since I've been on it, since 2017. Governor Scott didn't appoint me to make this thing political, nor did DeSantis. It's not about politics. This is about the kids, and we need to get back to those basics. I just want to throw it out there because I think we have board members that are just here for the wrong reasons, and you're here for other reasons. We have a board member told a state representative that our only purpose and mission here is to pass through money to partners. That's not the mission of JWB. And if that board member thinks that, you should reread our charter, you should reread our mission, you should reread our bylaws. That's not what we're here for. That's not the purpose of JWB, is just pass money through to partners. It's about programs. It's about making sure the programs work, to make sure that they're funded correctly, that the funds are being used correctly, that taxpayer dollars are being spent correctly. It's also the JWB's mission to create programs that can be put out to the public to help our kids, to make things better for our children, like turbo babies and sleep babies. And those things that we do, we've done a great job of. Our staff has been incredible. I feel for the staff because they're all on pins and needles right now because this board is all over the place and not doing what they normally do. And, you know, I feel bad for the staff. I really do. I've talked to a lot of the staff here, and as board members, that's what you all should be doing as well. Because it's about them. They're the ones who do the work here. They're the ones who make sure that the programs are correct and safe and empowering our kids and all those types of things that JWB does. And this board, we got to get back to where we're supposed to be at. So I just want to throw that out there before we go any further, because we need to make some sound decisions.
Mr. Chair, if I could just say something, I totally agree with you. And to the staff, you deserve better. To the community, you deserve better. We are off track. We have not been on track since you and I switched seats. And it's time to get back to the business of serving our community.
Okay, moving on to our next item is to consider the bylaw amendment by Honorable Sarah Malo.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. So I have proposed a change to Article 4, the Chief Executive Officer. The staff has been good enough to provide everybody with a copy. It's on page 5. And it's really a simple amendment in looking at our bylaws. I recognize that Article 4, Section A, it says the CEO shall be appointed or removed by an affirmative vote of a majority. Then it had the language +1 of total board members at one meeting or by a simple majority of total board members at 2 consecutive meetings held at least 2 weeks apart. And so what that turns into, the rationale behind it is, obviously the scheduling conflicts that we experience as a board, but also the confidence that I have in board members when they vote to make well-informed and well-thought-out decisions. So the necessity of coming back 2 weeks later to just reaffirm that decision doesn't seem necessary or really fruitful. And so in an effort to move things forward, I've asked for this amendment change, and I'd ask for the support of the board on the amendment change.
Commissioner Leva.
I have some questions, and at some point I have some questions before we vote of Colleen as well. But first, I have some questions for Ms. Malo. I did not think that JWB would bring me back to my Tallahassee days, but here we are. Ms. Malo, who did you talk to or consult with about this motion?
I spoke to our attorney, Ms. Colleen Flynn. I called her after reading the bylaws and asked her how to effectuate a change in it. She went over it with me and then recommended that I talk to Mr. McCurrick and asked that it be put on the agenda. So that's the procedure and course I took.
At the last CEO meeting, you wanted to delay the vote to talk to providers, which, is certainly your prerogative. Did any of the providers ask you to do this?
No.
I went back, because as you know, I missed a few meetings last year. So I watched them, and kind of an odd thing happened between October and November. In November, you called JWB the gold standard. You talked about representing the little guy. You talked about David and Goliath. You gave a very eloquent speech. Do you believe the gold standard is trying to change the rules the day of a vote?
I don't know that when I was talking about that gold standard, I was necessarily talking about the procedure. The motivation behind changing the vote is just to facilitate this board moving forward. And so there really isn't, I didn't really think of it in a gold standard term, so hadn't thought of it that way. But I do think that there isn't a necessity with the caliber of the board that we have, that once a board member, I was vocal, I wasn't ready to make a decision. And so I think once a board member cast a vote, particularly this board, that we can be confident that it's well thought out, and the 2-week delay I don't really think serves a purpose.
So do you believe we have a high functioning board?
I do.
That's interesting. In October, you made the motion to dissolve the search committee. In November, you spoke in favor of speeding up the process, and Ms. Chia has supported speeding up the process really from the moment Mr. Onks made the motion to give our interim CEO a 10-month contract last May or June. I can't remember exactly what month that was. That whole November meeting, I believe, was odd. And it appeared to me that there was a big change in attitudes from October to November. But I also wanted to point something out about November. And it was something that Mr. Onks pointed out. And it was about how y'all should wait until I get back from the hospital to take action. And I wanted to point it out because I'm almost certain Brian was the only board member who knew my true condition in October and November, because he's a dear friend. He checked in with my wife. He knew the dire straits I was in early October. I believe that if he wanted to do something nefarious, he would have done so while I was gone. because he knew I was gonna be out for a while. I also want to mention that I spoke to Mr. Gilzine. I talked about this during one of our search committee meetings, I believe, in either August or September. He expressed interest in applying. I encouraged him to do so. But Mr. Gilzine knew a couple of concerns I had because I told him. I also want to point out, because I'm sure we'll talk about it at some point, that I don't believe that Mr. Gilzine has done anything inappropriate during this process. But I believe that that there's something screwy going on, and I'm not accusing you of anything, Ms. Malo, but this motion stinks to high heavens, and we should not do it. I believe that that there are people that tried to intentionally speed up this process from the moment we had an interim CEO. And I believe that it was done so because there's only one entity in the state of Florida that could change the special act, and that is the Florida legislature. And I think that's what the goal was. And I don't think it takes Woodward and Bernstein to figure that out. So I am obviously against this because this is a horrible idea. And I'll let other people ask questions if they want. But before we vote, I want to ask Colleen some questions.
Mr. Chair, if I would respond just briefly. Commissioner, I respect and appreciate your comments on this. I guess my question is what do you think is gained by a 2-week delay? My position is I think the board members are pretty solid. And so when you said high functioning, do I think that they are going to change their position from where they're at? Unlikely. And so I guess my question to you is, you think this stinks to high heavens and you think there's some nefarious something, and I appreciate you not putting that on me, that you think that I'm trying to do something nefarious. But I guess my question is what do you think would change in 2 weeks, and what do you think the community and or the board gains from that 2-week delay to just reaffirm the position that the board member has taken on the vote?
Well, at the last meeting, I'll point out that you didn't know where you were going to vote. It was 5-5. You're going to be the swing vote. You wanted to delay it, which is certainly your right. But now all of a sudden, you're so convinced that you want to make a 6-vote determination. And, we're just going to decide with 6 votes and without any kind of delay. Well, one of the demands that has been made on this board is that we conduct an investigation. If, for instance, we conduct an investigation, if I vote for Mike for CEO and I found out that he did something wrong and he got 6 votes, do you think in that 2-week period of time I'm going to vote for him again? I mean, I would think that my colleagues on this board would have that same attitude, that if they thought that there was nefarious activity, that their mind would be changed in that time. And so I think, I agree that politics has no place in a child welfare agency. We should be more concerned with the 83,000 kids in this county that we serve, and not, other interests.
I appreciate that. I just think that there's a difference between if there was an investigation or something you weren't comfortable voting on today, delaying that vote and voicing that concern, versus just procedurally changing a reaffirmation.
Yeah,
so that was my only point.
And let me be clear, if we did an investigation,
yes, sir,
he should be part of it. I mean, my mind is not made up that anybody is immune from anything. And so if there was wrongdoing, no one should be immune from it.
That has nothing to do with my motion.
I just think that, knowing what we know as a board, this motion is the worst idea that we possibly could do.
Okay, I appreciate your comments on that.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the intention of the two-week separation of the two 6-person votes was to kind of address the issue of scheduling itself. Because 6 people, like, you need the 6 plus 1 on one meeting, or if you can't get the full board present at one meeting, then it's 2 meetings where if someone can't come to the first of the 2 meetings, then theoretically they could come to the second of the 2 meetings, and you'd have some overlap where then people could vote and you'd get a semblance of that 6 plus 1 majority. So the way it's written always made sense to me, because I thought that it covered, and, again, there's a lot of lawyers on this board who have been.
Colleen would be best to address that, because it sounds to me like what you're saying is if we had a vote today, but you couldn't be here, then you could come back in 2 weeks and cast that vote for that we had today. And I don't think that's it. I think you have to have a vote of 6 to 5, and then 2 weeks later, a vote to 6 to 5. And so all 11 board members, if they wanted to cast a vote, would have to be present at 2 dates. And after having seen the spreadsheet and the work and all of the emails that the staff did to try to assemble today's date, that was when there was sort of the moment of, is this necessary? We had a discussion a little bit about virtual, and I read the bylaws. It said you have to do it again. I thought, good Lord, we have to do that whole scheduling thing again. That doesn't make sense. Everybody seems pretty committed to their position. So that was the intent behind it. But you maybe could better explain what's...
I just want to throw something out there, and this bylaw was changed by Mr. Ungst
I was going to
a
mention.
year ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was, and it was changed because we had a governor appointee position missing for quite a while on this board. And I think we changed it, I think his intent changing it back then was because we had a seat vacant, was to try to keep it equal. Prior to that change, it was set up to the 7 votes so that there's X amount of appointees, there's X amount of elected officials on this board, right? So I think it was previously set up, and maybe Colleen can address this, but I think the previous intent of it prior to Mr. Ungst's change last time was to ensure one group didn't just control the board vote, right? So the electeds didn't just control it, or the appointees didn't just control it, that it made it a fair shake for the board to vote. And then, like I said, Mr. Ungst changed it because we had that vacancy for, I don't know, quite a while.
It was like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I mean,
we only
so-
had 10 members. So my concern was the CEO, you could only hire or fire the CEO with 7 votes, but we only had 10 members. And when I realized that, it had nothing to do with any of who the CEO was at the time or who the CEO is now or any of that. But when I realized that, it was like, this is kind of it's almost like a super immunity for the CEO that you'd have to have 70% of the board. And by the way, to Ms. Mala's point, which I do think there is credit to what she's saying here, you have to have, it's hard for us to get 8, 9 members of the board to any one meeting. So if you have to have 7 votes of 8 or 9 members, I mean, that's even more than the 70%. So that's why it was changed at the time. I don't think it ever had a 2-meeting requirement back then, though, did it?
No, historically until last April, it had just said the CEO shall be appointed by a vote of 7 members and may be dismissed by the same vote. That is all it had said until last April.
Right, so, and just my opinion, it's bad public policy to change the bylaws to create a vote. I don't think that looks good. I don't think it looks good to the public that we're trying to change what we do at the last second to confirm what we want to do. I just think it's bad public policy. I don't think it looks good to the public, doesn't look good to our partners, that, we're gonna create a new policy so we can have a vote today to try to go somewhere. It's my opinion. Any other discussion? Any more motion? Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion?
More questions?
And technically, Mr. Chair, I do think we should probably take public comment on the motion before we vote on it.
I have questions for Colleen. In the letter that we received, we had some demands, and we haven't, I'm not an attorney, but we haven't been formally sued yet.
There are no pending lawsuits against JWB
okay.
right now.
And one of our board members, I understand, does have representation, which is certainly their right.
Absolutely.
And I've asked about our insurance before.
Yes.
And my understanding when talking with you is that our insurance also has an attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, so JWB has many policies of insurance, and some of them include employment practices, it includes public officers insurance, and whenever anything is tendered to the insurance company, for the most part, they assign counsel to represent, whether it's JWB or any other entity. When you use insurance, they will provide a counsel, provided that they have determined that there is coverage under the policy for the claim.
Okay. And one of the demands, I believe, was that the board member did not participate in like CEO actions or whatever.
I have received a request from the attorney that anyone with a conflict of interest not vote on anything related to the CEO search.
Okay, so how would it work? And like I'm fine, like I believe anybody should have representation. But there may be an instance if we do get sued that the interests of our insurance attorney is different than the board member's attorney and the board member. How does that work if there's a conflict with the insurance attorney and the board member and the board member's attorney? Who prevails in that?
So under our policies of insurance, which again, this is very common, there's something called a consent to settle. And under our policies of insurance, JWB has to give written consent in conjunction with the insurance company to resolve any claims. However, if we do not consent and the insurance company wants to settle, then the insurance company says, we're willing to do X up till now. If you don't accept that and you want to continue forward, you're on your own at this point. Sometimes it's referred to as a hammer clause. And so the same thing would apply provided to an individual board member if there is individual coverage under an insurance policy for an individual board member. At this moment in time, I do not know because the insurance company has not issued a coverage opinion of whether there is coverage under any of our policies for individual claims against the board member.
Okay. So does her participating in the vote discussion, or does her participating in the meeting discussion and vote today put JWB at further risk?
Under applicable law, under 286.012, board members may not abstain from voting unless there is a conflict of interest under certain provisions under the ethics code, under 112, 311, 313, and then the voting conflict law. The voting conflict law says that board members may not vote if they have a conflict of interest that inures to their personal interest, which is deemed pecuniary, as well as their principal, so like their employer, or a family member that is enumerated in the statute. So under those circumstances, the person may not vote. I have advised the board member and their counsel that they should consider whether this would be an appropriate situation for them to abstain and whether they should contact the Commission on Ethics for an opinion, because as you know, all of you who've been on boards for a long time, I am not the arbiter of whether there is an ethics violation. That is the Florida Commission on Ethics who makes that determination. And so my recommendation to anyone, if they ever have concerns about that, is that they can call the ethics hotline and get a further determination.
Do you know if the board member received or sought an ethics opinion?
To my knowledge, I do not know one way or the other. I don't believe so, but I don't know that to be true or untrue.
Well, she is an expert, so I will leave it at that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Yep. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, public comment. I'm sorry. Do we have public comment? Anybody from the public wishing to speak?
For You'll be required to fill out a card, and if you're speaking on the action item regarding the bylaws, you will have 3 minutes. And you will see a yellow light, and then you'll be beeped at red. You can fill it out when you're done, just to keep it going. But if you say your name and who you are for.
Good morning, my name is Shane Vogt. I represent Michael. It was a pretty stark reminder driving in here today, seeing the pinwheels out front, and then hearing Commissioner Lavala's remarks about what the importance of the mission of this organization is. By virtue of that, I think a decision as to who will serve as the CEO is equally important. Not for that person individually, but for the staff that makes this place run, and more importantly, the children that it protects. I think it has been the gold standard. I think it should still be the gold standard. And the gold standard does things like requires 2 votes over a course of 2 weeks, because the children deserve that. I am a litigator, but the last thing in the world that I want to do in a situation like this is litigate. That's why we make demands for things like corrective action, is so we never get to that point. And I hope it never does. The things that we've asked of this board are incredibly reasonable, and they're pretty basic. Common sense suggestions about putting a pause, not changing the method for a vote the day that a vote takes place. You know, the litigator side of me says, yeah, go ahead and do that and see where it gets you. But obviously that's not the position I would ever want to take with this board, because its mission is so important. But the real task here should be going above and beyond, like you've always done, to make sure that things are done correctly, with basic fairness, so that someone running for a position doesn't get disparaged publicly, doesn't have notices leaked about them to the press to hurt their chances of being appointed CEO of this organization on a permanent basis, and not be able to respond to it. And all the while, decisions are being made on incredibly important things like who should be the CEO and changing the voting process, while all of those questions remain unanswered. That's not the kind of situation I think this board wants to be in. I can guarantee you one thing. Michael's going to fight, and he's not going to fight for him. He's going to fight for the staff in this building and the children that they protect. And I will be side by side with him. And I like big fights. I ain't scared of anybody. You know, my roots are in this county. I went to Eckerd College in Stetson. Spent 4 years of my life representing Terry Bollea against Gawker. My practice is mostly fighting media companies who have every weapon you can imagine at their disposal to attack me and my clients. I don't care. But I beg you, do this the right way so that you never see me again. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
My name is Luke Lareau. I have the privilege of representing Ms. Chia. And since I was retained last week, we have worked diligently to comply with all the requests for public records and everything that we've had and put together and provided to Ms. Flynn, who I've had the privilege of working for in the past. I feel that I was brought into this as someone with some background in the First Amendment. I've been a member of the First Amendment Lawyers Association for 40 years. I'm a past president. And I looked at with all due respect, the demands that were made by my colleague. And candidly, I did not see any evidence of anything that was defamatory. I didn't see any evidence of anybody being disparaged. What I did see was a request that you as a board do the research to make the right vote, to do the right thing. I think with any position of authority, there's always going to be competition. Unfortunately, it does enter the world of politics far too often, but that comes with the territory. And I think that in light of the very important work that this board does for the benefit of the children of Pinellas County, it's important to vote your conscience, but if you're going to vote your conscience, you've got to know what it is that you're voting on, who it is that you're voting on. I don't think there was any effort to disparage anyone. If there was anything done, it was to urge you as members of the board to do the research necessary and understand exactly what the characteristics are of the candidates that you are considering. And based on that, I leave it to you to do your jobs properly in a punctual fashion. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the privilege of being here today.
Thank you. If you could please fill a speaker card out as well. Any other discussion from the board? Any other public comment?
Mr.
Just
Chair,
make sure there's no one else.
If there's no other public comment,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to take.
Yeah, just want to make sure there's no other public comment. Anybody else like to speak? Okay.
Can we get them cards?
Again, please make sure you fill a card out after you
Get
speak.
them to fill that out. Thank you.
No, you can go up to the podium. Go ahead. Just once you get done speaking, we'll have you fill a card out for us. Just state your name at the podium so we know who you are.
Hello, my name is Julian Riley. I'm a business owner here in Pinellas County, also a president of a nonprofit organization here where we specialize in working with youth here in the community, here in Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. And just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about just being in the community. And I'll just be candid. I think a lot of kind of like what you had mentioned, this is my first time coming to one of these meetings. And, but the presence of JWB with all of the funding and all of the different things that we have, it's not really a presence. Also, I mean, I actually, one of my locations that we do a program, I think they have, one of the churches, and I won't, say, their name because I'm not trying to, I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything like that. I'm not coming up here to try to tick anyone off, but it's just, the work's not really being done. Funds and things like that are being allocated to organizations, and a lot of the community is the kids are struggling. They're still getting arrested. It's just and it's so simple. I had a program last year. Or the year before, we probably helped about 100 kids in the summer, and we're able to, give them more money probably than, their parents might have even given them that summer. But another organization which got, hundreds of thousands of dollars, didn't serve half of the kids that we but they keep getting, it's just a lot of different things like that go on in the community. And I think it's just a time for change. The thing about dealing with Mr. Glenn, I've seen his programs. I've seen a lot of the things that, personally, and I just kind of wanted to speak on that. Again, I don't know anyone else, but I know the work that he's done, and I can speak on that. And I just kind of wanted, especially if the public got a chance to speak, to be able to at least say something that could be recorded, and accounted for. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public like to speak? All right, seeing Mr. Runks?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to confirm with Colleen, sorry, I'm gonna put you on the spot again.
Make sure you got a card, fill out his card.
Before he leaves, yeah.
Do I fill it out on here?
Just go ahead.
I just wanted to double check with you. Procedurally, was the process in our bylaws complied with to have this item on our agenda today?
Yes, sir. I did email it to everyone more than the 10 days that was required.
So the notice was complied with?
Correct.
And Mr. McCurrack was consulted with?
Yes.
And is there any
Yes.
procedural reason why the board would not be able to vote on this motion today?
There is no procedural reason. Notice is required 10 days in advance, and I believe it went out the 24th of March via email to all of you. So the 10 days was complied with.
Okay, thank you.
I would just be remiss if I didn't thank Ms. Glenn and Mr. McCurrick for their help on this, because I really didn't know much about it. And so she worked, I believe, on the weekends to make sure that this happened. And honestly, the intention of this was just so that we can make a decision and move forward. And because this thing does not need to be dragged out any longer. But thank you very much for your help and your work on it. And I appreciate your guidance too, Mr. McCurrick.
Any other discussion? Mr. Parley?
I'd like to just make a comment. Number one, I do not like the timing that we're using right now to do this and make the change when we're on the eve of a vote. And quite frankly, there's so much stuff running around and being floated around about everything that's going on right now. I'm not so sure that this is the time to vote. But I disagree with the amendment. The amendment allows the current way it is now in the bylaws allows it you have two different meetings for time for people to reflect. And the worst thing you don't want to have to happen is everybody just moves forward in a hurry and the decision's made, and then you think about it when you leave and say, maybe I should have done this or that or the other thing, and you can't do it. So it's not nothing wrong with it really right now, and I don't see any reason to change it.
Any other board discussion? Okay, so let's go call for an individual vote, so start on the end.
I'm in favor for the vote.
I, yes.
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 No.
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 I think it's good the way it is, no.
And no.
I have the noes as Judge Moore, Mr. Commissioner Latvala, Mr. Hendrick, Mr. Bartlett, Ms. Nage, and Chief Milliken.
Correct.
That is 6 noes. The motion fails.
Got it.
Things are coming fast. We have to make sure we're right.
All right, moving on to our next subject is the action of the chief executive officer appointment. With everything that's going on and the fact that we have potential pending litigation, the fact that we still got to hear from Mr. McCarrick's attorney today and go through that letter that's been sent to all of us, I highly recommend we suspend the search or cancel it and start over at some point. But I don't think we're making a good decision today to try to select a CEO when there's so much legal matters going on. We need to get this behind us. We need to get moving forward back to what JWB does, back to our mission, back to taking care of our kids and empowering our children and getting our staff lined back up so they know what's going on as well. That's my recommendation. It's open right now for discussion.
As you know from my previous comments, that's exactly where my mind is at right now as far as just rushing into this thing. I think we're doing that when we don't know all the players in the game, all the parts and pieces that have to be put together, and none of these answers or where we're at in litigation and everything else. I think it's just in a rush. When we're fine for right now, we have time, we should take time to make the decisions that we're all very comfortable with, because this is going to affect this organization for years to come. And I just feel like we're being pushed into this with all this other information out there flowing around about the potential pending litigation and, you know, the back and forths that have gone on. I mean, we're behaving in some respects like a bunch of kids out here ourselves. And it just really annoys the heck out of me. And I don't think that this is the time to make a snap decision on something like this.
Anybody else? Ms. Chia?
Yeah, I would like to say that I don't think 11 months is a snap decision. We've been doing this since last May, and it's been a long time, and we've been doing a lot of back and forth. And I think that we should at least move forward today with one of the votes, since the bylaws are not changing. That will give us 2 weeks to make a change. You know, if people want to change their minds in 2 weeks, we can set up another meeting and go forth then. I do believe that just because someone wants to start a legal action in order to pend proceedings, that is not a good look either. So it's all manufactured craziness, and I don't think that that's a good reason to not move forward procedurally. So I'd like to make a motion that we do a vote today.
Okay.
As a point of order, I'm not sure that making a motion to do a vote today, it needs to be a motion, but if you have a motion to appoint someone, I think that would be a motion, but.
That's fair. Then I would like to make a motion to hire Mr. Gilzine today.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to hire Mr. Gilzine.
I'll second the motion.
A second?
Point of order, Mr. Chair, is it to hire him effective when?
Effective immediately.
Okay, obviously understanding that we can't hire him today if we get only 6. If there's 7, we could, but, and also Mr. McCarrick does have a contract through June 1st, which if we select Mr. Gilzine, It's always been my intention that he fulfill that contract and have the opportunity to pass his experience and all the things that he's done on to his successor. So I'd like to see that as well, if that is the will of the board.
So are we not gonna vote, or are we just going to go say we're hiring Mr. Gilzine? Are we not voting here today? Is that what I hear?
No, I was just asking her to clarify what the effective
No,
date
I'm
would be.
asking Ms. Chia, because she's saying hire Mr. Gilzine. She did not say vote. She said hire Mr. Gilzine. So break it down to me like I'm a third grader, please.
So I said vote initially, and Mr. Onk said that that's not a motion. I needed to make a motion on a specific candidate, so that is what I did.
Or I suppose, Judge Moore, we could do a straw poll like we did the last time, and we could just say.
No,
our
I just
preference.
wanted clarification. She was saying that she was just responding to you. I just thought we skipped the whole process in there. Oh, okay, all right.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion from the board?
So are we, just for clarification, are we moving to vote for the CEO today?
The motion
Ask the
is
board
to
member
hire
one
Okay,
down there.
so,
Gilzine.
all right.
There's a motion on the floor to hire Mr. Gilzine,
Okay.
effective immediately.
I think that motion was made in deference to Mr. Onk's correction. So may I modify your motion to say that the JWB board make a vote for the CEO, and then we follow that up with whatever votes are necessary for what day they would be hired, contract negotiations, all of that. So we have been in a holding pattern because I had asked for a delay last time we did a straw vote. So I think there's a friendly amendment on the table to amend the motion to have the JWB board vote for CEO today.
Do you accept the amendment? And second, who were the second, so you're amending the amendment.
Ms. Malo, I just want clarification. You said you're making a motion to vote today or to vote on a specific candidate today?
To vote today, just like we have been. We did a straw poll vote. I didn't vote in the straw poll. We moved today. I'm asking that the board cast their vote for who they would like to be the next CEO.
Okay, so Ms. Chia made a different motion from that, so it's a bit confusing as to what the motion on the floor is.
Let's clean it up.
Yes.
Ms. Chia, would you like to withdraw your motion at this time?
I shall.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the JWB board vote for the CEO position today. And that vote then is followed up later with votes and discussion on the contract negotiations for salary, dates of starting, all of those things would be subsequently held. But we did a straw poll vote at the last board meeting. I did not vote on that because I wanted more information. I've received that information, so I'm asking for that vote today.
I thought you seconded her motion to hire.
She withdrew it.
I withdrew my motion.
It's off, it's gone. We
So
cleaned
we're
it up.
doing a motion to do a straw poll? Is that what we're doing?
I didn't hear a straw poll. I heard a
I didn't
motion.
hear
to
straw
hire.
poll. A motion to vote.
Okay.
This needs to end at some point.
And I will second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any board discussion? Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I support what Mr. Bartlett said and what you brought up, that I think the entire process, starting from the very beginning, has been flawed, including our initial search opportunities and attempts. I think we went about it the wrong way. I think we should have hired an external expert to give candidates who meet the mission of JWB. And I certainly think in the last couple of months, it has been far more political, and I shared that at the last meeting. If the board wants to vote today, certainly I will vote like everyone else. But my recommendation is to suspend completely, restart the process, and do it very clean, and have an external an opportunity for somebody from the outside who's an expert in this process lead us forth with that. And that includes things like at the last meeting when we had the candidates in the room and people are saying things from here and we have people going back and forth. That's not the way a search should be done. That's an embarrassment to JWB. And the reason we got there is because we tried to do it on the cheap and not do it correctly. This is a $100 million operation. It's not something that should be done on the cheap. And so I will certainly vote if we need to, but the entire process I don't think has been one that's good. One other note I wanted to just mention, the reason I voted no for the bylaw amendment is because I do think the 7 members is the consensus piece, not just 6 that you get across the line barely, but that there is a consensus to choose someone. In my role as superintendent, I've spoken to a lot of providers and staff members because they interact with the school district all the time. And they share the sentiments almost to a person that I've just shared, the embarrassment with which this operation has gone, and hopes that we can get a true professional to do the work. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Respectfully, I think the problem is that we're trying to start over by suspending it. And when people apply for a job, you either hire them or you don't. And if you don't, then you start over. So I just feel like if we're going to say, look, we did this all wrong, we should start over, then we need to finish the thing that we're doing before we move on to the next thing, which is a sentence that I feel like I say to my kids all the time, but I think is very applicable here. We should finish the thing that we're doing so that everyone can have an answer one way or another, not like just start over, reapply, but you never got an answer the first time. So I think that is probably one of the most frustrating things, that you're like, hey, we're just gonna scrap this and start over. And if I was one of the candidates, I would say, wait, but I already did this. So can someone just tell me yes or no so I know not whether or not to waste my time or put in the effort for it? Because it doesn't speak to, I care about the mission, I care about the work, I care about those things. It's just, it has been an exhausting process for everyone involved. So I think that professionally, morally, just compassionate, just as a person, the people who have applied deserve an answer. If there's not a majority for anybody, then we start over. That is how applying for a job works. You either like them or you don't, you hire them or you don't, and that's it. So I support the motion to vote today because I think if we're going to start over, then we need to turn the page on this one before we move to the next.
Any other discussion? Ms. Mache?
I just wanted to say, we keep hearing how this, we're rushing this. I haven't even been on this board a full year, and it's all we've talked about. It's all we've been a part of. It's the only thing, I keep hearing, I don't know who it's pointed at, that people are here for the wrong reasons. I'm only here because of the children. That's the whole reason I got here. The organizations I was belonging with that introduced me to the JWB, that helped start the JWB. That is why I'm here, but it's all this stuff pertaining to this search that has taken me away from being out there with some of the organizations and getting to know some of them. So I don't know if restarting this just so that we can get a certain way or rechange it, I just feel like it's kicking the can down the line, to be honest with you.
Okay, anybody else? So we'll have public comment.
I did have some other cards for 4D, so, okay. Which is what we are on.
Shane, make sure your mic's on.
Thank you. I've already spoken, about this already, and I'm not going to go back over all that again. But I think the important thing to remember is, from our perspective, it's the rush comes by recent events. And yes, we've written to the board. We've not threatened to sue the board. What we've said to the board is this process should be paused so that certain things that occurred can be investigated, and we can figure out whether there's any outside influence over this board for whatever reasons. It could be political, it could be economic. I can tell you that we've recently gotten some public records that support some of the things that we've expressed concerns about in our letters. That's troubling. And for a vote to go forward today, in light of what we know already, I think is just a risk that this board shouldn't be taking. Again, Michael's goal in all of this is just to have the process done the right way, in a way that's fair and reasonable and transparent for all of the public who has a vested interest in what this organization does. That should be something that everyone wants to do, and I don't understand why you wouldn't. And we're not talking, I know you've been dealing with this a lot longer than I have, and I respect that, and I respect how busy all of your schedules are, but at the end of the day, this organization and this decision in particular is worthy of that. The question that rings out in my head is, why wouldn't you do that? I can really only think of one reason why you wouldn't take time to investigate this. And it's because you're scared what it's going to show. Because we don't have all the records at this point. We haven't gotten full responses to things that we've sent out. I would love to see that process unfold. And I'd love to see everyone investigated so that the entire process is fair and everyone's on a level playing field. That's all that Michael really wants, because it's really one of the bedrock principles of this organization. You know, the children that you help are trying to be put on a level playing field with everybody else. And one of the best ways to show them that is to do it yourselves. So we hope at the end of the day that, again, you'll just make the process fair and reasonable, suspend the vote so you can investigate the questions that we raised. And at the end of the day, maybe we're wrong. And we'll be the first ones to admit that. I don't think we are, but, you know, that's where we're at this point. So again, I beg of this board respectfully to put this vote off, to investigate the issues that have been raised, and make sure that there are no outside influences or other things creeping into this process that would create problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McCabe, you want to speak?
Yes, we have two cards. The first one is Denise McCabe on item 4D, CEO appointment.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Denise McCabe. My husband, Bernie McCabe, who was state attorney here, served on this board for 20 years. He was known for asking the question, is this the right thing to do for the kids? He asked it all the time. That was his focus. That is your focus. We have a vote that will probably be taken here shortly. And I would urge you to ask yourself that question at this vote, at all the coming votes in the coming months, in the coming years. Big decisions will be made of great import, and they may have long, long-lasting effects and implications. So I would ask you, when you make these votes today, or whenever you make them, to ask yourself this question, is this the right thing for the kids? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we have a second card on item 4D, which is Mike Sutton.
Well, good morning. My name is Mike Sutton. I've been a proud resident of Pinellas County for 17 years and of the Tampa Bay region for nearly 4 decades. I'm here today to offer my support for Mr. Glenn Gilzine as the next CEO of JWB. At the same time, while I stand before you in strong support of Glenn, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge concerns that have been shared with me by fellow nonprofit leaders across this community. Over the past year, several leaders have expressed challenges in their interactions with current JWB management, particularly around communication, collaboration, and partnership. In most cases, they have been hesitant to speak openly due to concerns about potential retaliation and the impact of funding relationships. There's also been serious concerns raised regarding the circumstances surrounding the former CFO's departure. And while not all perspectives may be fully represented in media coverage, there is yet to be sufficient clarity and resolution around some of these issues, which has contributed to ongoing uncertainty and concern among stakeholders in our community. I share this not to assign blame, but to underscore the importance of leadership that can restore trust, strengthen partnerships, and ensure transparency and accountability moving forward. That is why I believe Glenn Gilzine is uniquely positioned for this role. I've known Glenn for more than 25 years, dating back to our time at USF. And even then, it was clear that he possessed integrity, discipline, and a deep commitment to serving others. Throughout his career, Glenn has demonstrated the ability to lead complex organizations, navigate difficult environments, and deliver meaningful outcomes. As CEO of the Urban League in Orlando, he balanced mission, accountability, and performance in a way that strengthened both the organization and its impact. He has also served in high-profile leadership roles through his appointment by the governor. These roles come with scrutiny, political criticism, and at times allegations from differing positions. However, in each instance, Glenn has remained steady, principled, and focused on his work. He has demonstrated the ability to lead through noise, remain grounded in values, and continue delivering results. What stands out most about Glenn is his consistency. His commitment to improving outcomes for children and families have never wavered. And regardless of the role or challenges in front of him, he has remained focused on service, accountability, and impact. Okay. JWB plays a critical role in the community. It requires a leader who can rebuild trust where needed, strengthen partnerships, and ensure that resources are used effectively to produce measurable outcomes for children and families. I'm confident that Glenn Gilzine is that leader who will bring that experience, the integrity, and steady leadership needed to move this organization forward while reinforcing confidence among stakeholders and ensuring strong stewardship of public resources. I respectfully urge this board to select Mr. Gilzine as your next CEO. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Oh, sir, could you turn the mic on? There's a little button, a red button. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. As a person that works as an audiovisual technician, you would think I would know that, right? So I guess that's proof that I am human, not a bot. Okay, cool. Good morning. As a taxpayer here in Pinellas County, I care deeply about how our dollars are invested, especially when it comes to our children. Every dollar should be helping a child succeed, helping the family stay strong and create a real opportunity. Glenn Gilzine has a proven track record of doing exactly that. He helped turn around a struggling organization, reducing over $1 million in debt while expanding programs that lifted families out of poverty and created real job opportunities. That's the kind of leadership that I trust with our children and our resources, right? And as a community leader, I have seen what happens when systems truly work for families and when they do not. Right now, our community needs leadership that brings people together and focuses on real outcomes for our children. Glenn Gilzine has done that. He did not just manage organizations, he strengthened them, created pathways out of poverty, and helped families build better futures. And that's the kind of leadership that can restore trust and move this community forward. Not only that, but what really tugs at my heartstrings is the fact that I was put up for adoption as a kid, right? So it's easy to tell when you have people that come in to just show face instead of actually create real impact. With the boom of social media, there are so many people who do things for the clout just to say that they did it. Hey, can you hold this camera up real quick so you can show me actually talking to the children? I know because I'm the camera guy. I see what most people don't. I see when so many people go to these schools and they're standing in front of the kid and the kid is pouring their heart out to them. They're not realizing that some of these kids have nobody at home. And the kids pouring their heart out to them, and you can tell in their faces they don't care and they're just doing it for the camera. Because as soon as the camera goes off, they go the other direction and don't give a second thought. That's not Glenn, by a long shot. So as a child that was put up for adoption, we can tell when somebody's doing it for the clout versus doing it because it's naturally in them. Glenn has a light that's in him. Some people only have a light because it's on them. He has one that comes from within, and it shows in his work and his character and who he is as a man. So as a parent, I want my child and every child in this county to have a real chance to succeed. Programs matter. Leadership matters even more. Glenn Gilsey has spent his entire career creating opportunities for families and making sure children do not fall through the cracks. He understands that behind every policy is a child, a family, and a future. And that's the kind of leader that I want making decisions that impact our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir, could you make certain you fill out a card? Yep. Thank you.
Still human.
Oh, wait, sir, can you fill it out and give it to Olivia? Just make sure you do that. Thank you.
I'm new to this.
Any other public comment?
If I can make one comment.
Sure.
Oh, okay, let the gentleman come in.
The mic is on. Good morning. My name is Kyle, and I am a business owner here in the community. Born and raised in Pinellas County, went to Gibbs High School. My parents are from St. Petersburg. My grandparents from St. Petersburg. The business that I am in currently is we deal with the undesirables. So if you know who I am, you know who I am, okay? But it's not about me. And one of the things that I'm deeply concerned about is the kids in the criminal justice system that going from school to prison pipeline. And this organization is set up to try to mitigate that and put some things in, invest in the community where we can address that concern. And Mr. Gilzine, I feel is the best candidate for that. It's grassroots. I've worked personally and put my money where my mouth is. I've invested in nonprofit organizations to make sure that the kids can receive the funding because of the political circus that took place last year. And we need to change. And just like Ms. McCade just said, you have to ask yourself, is this where the board is going right now? Well, excuse me, where the organization is going right now, is that where you really want, that's the direction you really want the organization to continue to go with the kids, for the kids, about the kids, not about politics at all. And I support Mr. Gilzine for our next CEO. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, and could you be sure to fill a card on your way out? Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience like to speak?
If I may.
Mr. McCurrick.
I think it's very impressive, and I'm really happy that people have come up to talk about their feelings about what should or shouldn't be done. And I have nothing against Mr. Glanzine. I personally don't know him very well. I don't know he knows me very well. But clearly what we've brought up in the discussions that we've been talking about are really information that needs to be clarified. Information, comments that have been made that aren't true. You can search online, and I've always said that if you use AI or anything else that you might use, you have to ask the right questions to get to the right answers and to review the details of things that are there. Very clearly we have and can refute most, if not all, in fact all, I should say, any questions or any comments that were made. What's also important is that it's unclear from this board as the direction that they want to move into. People have talked about what will be done, what are we not doing, are we really helping kids? My report has been given to the board to show them that we are continuing that process and moving forward. When you get to the question about something that has not yet been, is still under investigation, we're unable to be able to say anything about that or to disprove what was said in those with the firing and of the CFO. So all I'm really asking for very clearly is just to get things cleared up, go through the process, do your investigation. I'm more than happy to look at anything and everything I do. Decide after that investigation, you make your decision as what's the right approach to move forward. But clearly we need to get to the bottom of the issues that are in front of this board. And that we get back to the real focus, and that is the staff doing the right job and focusing on the children of our community.
Okay, any other comments? Any further discussion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to weigh in here, and as a longtime board member, I think I may still be the youngest on the board, but I've been on the board longer than anyone else, so I don't know what that makes me. But I do want the people in this room that I know and I respect and I trust, and I want you to know where I'm coming from here. My North Star has always been what is in the best interests of the children in Pinellas County. I have conducted myself with civility, courtesy, and respect. I have never disparaged anyone throughout this entire process, nor will I, and I will not start now. I have conveyed my deepest personal admiration and respect for Mr. McCurrack. Nothing that was said about him I gave any weight at all or credence. It has nothing to do with my personal beliefs on what is in the best interest of the future of the children and families of Pinellas County. And I know that there are passionate people on both sides of this. I've heard from people on both sides of this. And unfortunately, this has become a lot more about personalities than about what we believe is in the best interest of the children and families. So I have always focused my comments and my thoughts on the positivity. There's been a tremendous amount of negativity that has been circling around over the last few weeks or months. It's a weight on this organization. It's a weight on our children and families. It's a weight on our staff. It's a weight on our stakeholders. It's a weight on our board. And I just encourage us, please, 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 let's be decent to each other. Let's move forward collaboratively and respectfully. And when we disagree, let's disagree, but be agreeable about it. And this is absolutely not at all about, this is not at all about the negative for me. This is about what is the opportunity for the future. And I know Mr. McCurrack, and I know he would do an excellent, excellent job. But I also know Mr. Gilzine, and I know that he is who I personally believe would be the best person for the future of the children and families of Pinellas County. And I just hope we can all understand that we may have different perspectives, but we're all here and continue to be here for the right reasons. Thank you.
275 people roughly applied to be the CEO of the United Way. 6 people applied to be the JWB CEO. I think that is telling. And it has no reflection on the wonderful staff. I think it has to do with the people sitting around this dais. And in a lot of ways, it doesn't matter who the CEO is until we fix the quote-unquote high-functioning board that we have, and I will leave it at that.
Any other discussion? Judge Moore?
Yes, to the candidates, thank you. I'm not sure that any of you put out any bad press about anyone, and I just want to say thank you for staying the course. I am going to work with whoever wins. It sounds like we will be voting today, but to the gentleman, I just want to thank you because you guys did not get personal with each other. And you probably had every opportunity to do so. And I just want to say thank you, and thank you for being gentlemen in this whole process.
Ms. Chia?
I just wanted to add one thing. I want to thank some of the people that came up to the podium and were talking about the kids and the focus on that we should really be focusing on the children. And I think that that's very important. I just want everyone to know for the record that that has always been my motivation from the moment that I was asked to apply to be on this board until presently. My 2 children actually are in the back of the room today, and they came to support me. And it's also my birthday, so we're going to go out to lunch later. But as they can attest, as they were growing up, I was that mom that was helping the whole community through all of their sports, through football, through music, through anything that they were doing all of the fundraising, really being in the trenches with them, and also continuing to advocate for many of their friends as young men, even with court systems when they've gotten in trouble. So I just wanted everyone to understand a little bit about who I am and what my motivation is, and that is my pure motivation for wanting the right leadership for this organization.
Any other board members? All right, seeing Ms. Colleen Flynn, can you please restate the motion so we can take a vote?
So the motion that is currently pending is Ms. Mallow's motion that you should vote for the CEO today. Ms. Chia seconded that. And I would just remind you that Mary Grace, who has been sort of shepherding your search, is on Zoom or the phone if there's any input you wanted from her.
Mary Grace, did you want to speak before we vote here?
I would just like to offer an observation, and that is that I think the board itself, as well as those people who spoke, really have talked about the great importance of JWB to the community, number one, and the fact that what you're really trying to do at this point in time is to figure out, make a decision about leadership so that you are able to have the long-term stability and organizational capacity that you need in order to support the children and families. And my observation is that while all of you, I think, share that value, right now you really do not have great consensus about what the process should be or who has the ability, what you're really looking for to have someone who can make, provide that stability and capacity. And so I would say that, you know, and frankly, I'm finding the motion a little confusing because I'm not sure at this point if you're voting about whether you want to pause and have some ideas about how you could reach that consensus, or if you're actually voting for a candidate. But I would say that before you vote, if you are voting for a candidate, that you just really be sure with each other that you are clear about what you're asking of yourselves and what you're asking of the candidates. It's been hard to do that in the absence of a search committee, and in the fact that at a public meeting, it's very hard to just think out loud with each other. So I would really suggest to you that you consider what it would mean to pause. And I'm deliberately saying pause as opposed to kick the can down the road, because that's the last thing you need to do. So to really think about, if you decide to pause, what can you do in the interim fairly quickly to help better understand where each other are coming from. And I know that both Colleen and I would be more than willing to meet individually with board members and then to report back to the whole board about what that consensus might look like. So as I said, that's more of an observation than a declaration of some sort of, this is what you ought to do. But in any event, I continue to just think that JWB is one of the most important organizations in Pinellas County. And I do have confidence that you will vote your conscience and vote what's necessary.
Thank you. Okay, so the motion is to vote on if we're going to take a vote today. Is that correct?
Sarah's motion was to vote, to vote for the CEO portion today. If everyone wants to vote on that today, then you would then move forward on that. But I would remind you that there's 3 candidates. You don't have to, even if you move forward to vote, you are not obligated to select one of those 3. There could be a motion for one, which could fail. There could be a motion for the second, which could fail. There could be a motion for the third, which could fail. So this is very preliminary in nature, but it's just whether you want to pause or continue on today.
Okay, so I guess we probably should have this as a individual vote so we can track this, how this goes down. So we'll start with Ms. McShay.
So to clarify, I am saying if I want to do a vote today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, I would like to vote. Yes.
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 No.
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 By my calculation, the yeses are Ms. McShay, Ms. Chia, Ms. Rutland, Mr. Onks, Sarah Malo, and Kristen Nage, which would mean the motion carries.
Okay. Well, if someone makes a motion at this point. Motion was approved to take a vote today if someone desires to make a motion to vote today. Is that correct?
Yes, you are now willing to entertain other motion.
Correct.
I move to vote on Glenn Gilzine as CEO of JWB.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any board discussion? Seeing none. Any public comment?
Chief.
Oh, sorry, I see you light up down there.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to say that the JWB is very dear to my heart and very glad to be here and supporting the children of Pinellas County. I've been raised in a family supporting the families of Pinellas County, and I did so in my role and capacity in the YMCA since the early 2000s. And I think that this vote that we have today is very important. And then I sat down with Mr. Gilzine and read all the documents and all the accusations, and I have am comfortable and able to support him today. And I voted for Mr. McCurrack to be the interim because I thought he would be the best person to be the interim. And that was my understanding when I voted, that we were just voting on the interim. And I think that you have filled that role with your business experience, and I'm ready to move forward so that we can start supporting the families of Pinellas County again. Thank you.
Okay, any other board discussion before I ask for public comment? Okay, make sure I don't miss anybody again. All right, any public comment?
I have a question.
Yes,
So
Judge.
are we just voting yea or nay on Mr. Gilzine, or will we, okay.
You would vote yea or nay on Mr. Gilzine, because that is the motion right now. The only thing I would suggest is if Mr. McCurrack wanted to take 3 minutes, if he wanted to clarify, based on his attorney's letter, anything that he believed was false that was previously represented to the board, he could now have an opportunity to clear up any falsehoods.
Shane, just remember the mic again.
Yeah, I think that it's important to vote. And again, I'm not here to disparage one candidate over another, but heading into this vote that's taking place now, there were a number of things said about Mr. McCurrack at a special meeting back on February 20th that are flat out false. And it comes as no surprise that those things were mentioned that were dog whistles at the end of the day. Enron, which he had absolutely nothing to do with. Baycare, which he had nothing to do with. Arthur Anderson, which he had nothing to do with. There were things that would give people reason to maybe not support him as a candidate if they never really looked into the facts of those situations, which, by the way, happened decades ago, before he was first appointed to be a member of this board, which he did twice. Those things were all out there when he underwent an extensive background investigation before he could be appointed interim CEO. Nobody ever raised those concerns before this vote came up between these particular candidates. That's extremely problematic. The other issue on voting today is the fact that this board has told him he can't talk about the accusations in a notice that was leaked to the press for legal reasons. So not only were his legs swept out from under him while he's laying on the ground, he's having his arms tied behind his back while he gets pummeled by other people. And that sure as heck is not fair. It's one of the reasons that we wanted to put a halt to this process, to investigate and take a little bit of time. so that everybody was on a level playing field. And that's not the case. You know, this looks a lot to me how politics are played today. And this organization's governing documents made a specific point of separating politics from the people that run and work at the organization. This is a political hit job. You can just transplant it from one area of our society now to another. Quick hits, no substance, but enough to change people's perceptions or opinions long enough for somebody to get something rammed through. That's what's happening. And this process should be better than that. There's a place for this, Tallahassee and Washington, but it's not in this building. I think at the end of the day, if this gets rammed through, I think your consciences, some people's, are gonna feel it when this goes south. So again, I hope everybody be very cautious with this. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Lightvallion.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand how political takeovers look. I don't want to say I have experience in doing them, but I understand what they look like. And, you know, one of the signs is you have a couple people vote the exact same way on every item, up to and including voting for the same finalists to be CEO, who happen to be appointed around the same time. But one of my concerns, and I mentioned it earlier, is that this has a lot to do with our special act. And, you know, y'all say that you love the kids and we're all here for the kids and nobody has any ill, you know, motives, which, you know, I take you at your word, which I sort of have an open-ended question then. Is the second part of a political takeover is after you do the takeover, you then change the law. So what is the feeling if and when the special act gets changed that has to do with the scope of services that JWB does? And so I believe that this has nothing to do with the kids. And so what if the special act gets changed and we expand our scope of services to not include the children? What will be the opinion of the board then? And I mean, anyone that, you know, can answer, that is, claims to be here for the children. I mean, you don't have.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Is there legislation to change the special act?
No, I believe that.
I'm sorry, I just have no clue what you're talking about.
I believe that, the special act will eventually get changed.
Okay.
To expand, because I believe that, and I have enough experience in politics, as do you, that, you know, it's not just political power, it's the power of the purse. And the only way to do that is by taking control of our budget. And I believe at some point our special act will get changed. And so if we're all here for the children, is there a commitment that the board will stand in support of not having our special act changed?
Yeah, I've never heard anyone suggest that, and so that's why I didn't know what you were referencing, but 1,000%. And that's why at the February 20th meeting, my opinion is that Mr. Gilzean's broad experience as both a CEO of a not-for-profit, being CEO of the year by the Central Florida Business Journal, being the district administrator of a special district, being a constitutional officer, and being a school board member, I think he checks those boxes to protect the children and families of Pinellas County at all levels of government. And that is what I said at the February 20th meeting, and I continue to believe that.
Okay. And I take you at your word.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. McShay, you got your light on.
Because you're looking down this way, and I was the same. Like completely caught off guard with what you're saying, because I've never even heard any mention or discussion regarding it ever changing. And so I am here for the children. I would 1000% support that as well too.
Yeah, I certainly would never support changing the act. However, there are a lot of politicians involved in this vote right now. State representatives, senators. So there's a good reason that I think Commissioner Lau brought that up. I mean, it kind of, to me, it rings a bell. Being in Tallahassee a lot, I understand where he's coming from, that, there's a question of could that happen?
And I want to be clear that as a former state representative myself, there's nothing inappropriate for, I believe, for a state representative to be involved in this process.
Right, absolutely.
They can call whoever they want and support whoever they want. So that in and of itself is not inappropriate. If I was there, I'd do the same thing. And so, I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any legislator or legislators. My concern is that, okay, well, if your guy wins, what is the end goal? And I believe that, it may be trying to change the special act at some point.
And let's hope that doesn't happen.
Thank you.
What we do is important. Any other discussion from the board? Okay, seeing no other public comment, we'll call for a vote. Start with Ms. Shea.
My vote's for Mr. Glenn Gilzine.
It's a yes or no.
Oh, sorry. I thought, sorry, I couldn't remember, we're just voting, or now I remember the motion. Yeah, yay.
Yes.
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 No.
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 Yes.
And no, I think it's a bad time to be trying to put a CEO in place, as I said before.
You have 6 votes, which would require a second meeting. And the soonest that meeting could be is within 2 weeks. As you know, it's difficult to not only get you together, but to schedule a meeting and get it noticed in the Times and all of our meet our legal obligations. So we will need to set a second meeting. I don't believe the May meeting is until late in the month. So you will have to give direction to the board clerk as to.
So why don't we have Olivia send out the Google Calendar like we did last time to put some dates on it so we can find out where we could get everybody, closest amount of people to the vote. That work? Good? Okay. So we also received a letter from Mr. McCurrick's attorney that everybody received here. We received a couple emails, I believe, from somebody, 747 Patriot. I think those things need to be addressed in the public, so the public's aware of what's going on. The emails need to be addressed. I think that we need to address the letter that was sent to the board. So maybe I would ask Mr. McCurrick's counsel to go through that letter with us.
Colleen, is that, I feel like Mr. Vogt had a chance to speak, so Mr. Vogt, if you'd like to speak again, I'd be more than welcome to have you speak.
I don't think we're asking to speak about an item on the agenda. We're asking to speak the letter that you received that I think needs to be explained to the board and to the public of where that letter's at and addressing the accusations of that letter.
If the board wishes for any member of the public to speak, the board could ask for someone to provide information. Whether the person wants to speak or not, obviously is up to them. Otherwise, we have public comment where anyone can make a public comment on something not on the agenda. As this letter is not specifically on the agenda, however, it was addressed during, I believe, action items 4C and 4D, as well as prior to the vote. Mr. Vogt did speak a third time, so he has effectively spoken at 3 different times already. I mean, if there's anything anyone wants him to address, now would be your opportunity to ask him. If not, and he wants to come up during public comment, that would also be appropriate.
Before he does that, may I get clarification? Are you asking for 2 things? Asking for him to explain his letter, and then if the author of the second letter is here to explain their letter?
I think that we probably should have that done. I think that should be brought out.
So I can respond to that. We sent out letters to both the board asking for certain actions to be taken with respect to this process, the vote, a suspension, and an investigation, and that certain actions be taken depending on the results of that investigation. I did get a response from Ms. Flynn, but not a formal response to everything in the letter. We also served a request for public records under Chapter 119. Certain members of the board had no responsive records, others did, and they were provided. And then others said that they had provided some of the records, but not all of them. And then third, we did provide a demand letter to Ms. Chia herself that did threaten legal action. We received a response from Mr. Leroux, actually 2 responses. We exchanged letters in which she expressed her position on that issue. We have no objection to our letter being part of the public record. We'd be happy for that to occur, as well as the responses that we receive so that the public can be made aware of the current status of the situation and our positions and what has and has not been done prior to the vote today. So if you need anything else in addition to
So
that.
your responses are going to be public record as well?
Everything we write about this can be a public record.
Just want to make sure it's clear for us so we know as the board what is and isn't the public record.
Anybody else have any questions or? Thank you.
And would the other, Ms. Chia, would your counsel like to speak to? Just so we kind of clarification of what's going on and what is out there for records and stuff.
I'm not an IT guy, so I get an excuse this time. Everything that we have put together, we've presented to Ms. Flynn. We have no problem whatsoever. In fact, we would prefer all these matters to be part of the public record. At this point, I think a lot of the accusations might be based on speculation. No one knows why anyone voted on anything, but I'm sure that that will shake out the way it needs to, and I'm here to assist in any provision of documents or anything else that needs to be done to try to resolve these issues.
Thank you very much. And thank you, both of you. Just wanted to clarify the public record portion of it as to where we're at with the investigation on both sides. So thank you, guys. All right, we're moving on to presentations. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I said that letter's public. Yep. All right, moving on to presentations. First presentation, JWB Board Policy, Program Budget Advances.
I think we're live.
Good morning, Karen Bogus, Chief Operating Officer. So I know that last month we were going to present on this, and now we're getting an opportunity to. And Braxton will take where we are today. Figured I would come up to give a little history. Back in 2019, when JWB was operating as an ASO for a number of organizations, including neighborhood family centers and some smaller organizations, they were transitioning from our internal ASO to an external ASO. So at that time, to address cash flow issues, they were given advances. Then moving forward, additional agencies over the last few years were given advances as well. And back in 2022, September board meeting, the advance policy in our board policies was changed. And it reads currently that upon termination of contract or prior determined by the chief executive officer. And so that language was inserted into anyone who receives an advance contract from 2024 forward. And previous to that, the NFCs and those other agencies that had an advance back in 2019 had that in their contract fiscal year 22 on. So I just wanted to give a little bit of history on that. The other agencies that have advances also include Healthy Star Coalition and Learning Empowered. Those two received advances back when they received funding for strategically aligned programs. And then the next agency was Directions for a Living. They received it last January 2025 as part of that. Okay, ready?
Thank you, Karen. So my portion of this is really a visual representation of what she just spoke about. So the first slide here, if it'll go for me, there we go. So this is the policy as it was prior to the last board meeting. The only change here is that the CEO's authority goes from 75,000 to 50,000. But agencies are allowed to get advances of their allocations up to a maximum of $250,000. That's based on allocations across all of the programs that an agency has. So just because you don't have $1 million in allocation for one program doesn't mean you can't get the full $250,000 if you have multiple contracts for a single agency. And obviously, if you have less than $1 million, then you would get the amount that you would have available to you as an advance would be lessened. And again, most of these are from, I want to say 2019. And that's what the next slide here is. So this is the current listing of the agencies and programs that have advances on JWB's books. This shapes out to be 15 programs, it looks like, I think. My counting is good. And at the bottom there, it says $1.9-ish million. And again, the bulk of these were given out in 2019. And just so that you know what an advance is really, and based on the way that they've been functioning, they're essentially interest-free loans. And we've been carrying most of them since 2019. And to give you a different picture of what that really means, so our annual budget is about $100 million. In theory, we could have probably somewhere closer to $20 million out there in advances if all agencies and programs decided that they needed advance funds. So really, our effort to try to collect advances is to reduce risk. Let's see, my next slide here. Okay, so this is the special condition that was added to all of the contracts for programs that have advances from us. So essentially, this was added to mirror the language that was in the policy, so that it's an annual reminder that you have an advance on the books from us. You should be recording it on your financial statements, and that there is a payback stipulation, whether or not we were to end funding for your program, or we could call payback on the advance at any time. Okay, so my last slide here is I guess I would call it infamous letter / email that went out, I think sometime in February. So this was what initiated the thought or the conversation about advanced paybacks. The way that it would function would be that when you enter your reimbursement in November time, essentially, because that's when you would actually get reimbursed for your October expenses, you would apply part of that amount reimbursed to pay back your advance. We do intend to build in some flexibility into this. We understand that the nature of an advance is that you needed the money to assist with cash flow, so the requirement to have it paid back in one fiscal year may not be the most feasible for organizations that have advances. So the plan is to work with those agencies to make sure that we're able to collect the funds back, but also not present a hardship for them.
And that's it.
So, once again, just to clarify, back in 2019 or so, basically during COVID, there was a stipulation that was set up to allow advances to be made, as well as at the discretion of the CEO to try to help during that period of time. But back in 2022, 2023, the board changed the policy and reverted back to the original policy, which was cash advances being a interest-free loan to be paid back based on what was written. So every contract that everyone who has an advance, or actually in every contract that a provider gets, this is in the contract. It's written in the contract before they sign it. And there hadn't been any questions concerning that prior to. As we prepare for what could be a reduction in taxes in the community, we looked at the possibility of almost $2 million worth of funds that needed to be repaid back. It could have been just held back by not providing them reimbursement at any point in time throughout the year, but I didn't think that was fair. So we wanted to try to find a way that would be fair to all the providers, would provide an opportunity to understand that they need to repay this, that there is a board policy that is in their contract to pay back these funds and to give them some options on how they could be paid back. There was also, if you noticed again on one of the last sentences in the letter, it said talk to your financial advisor within JWB so that if there are issues, we'll figure out a way to work together. But clearly, to be focused on the taxpayers of this community to ensure that the funds are properly spent and that we are fiduciary responsible, we have to request to have those funds paid back.
I have a question, just to clarify. So if you could just explain, and sorry if I missed this. So the board changed the policy back in 2022 to add that added the sentence or determined by the CEO. Was anything implemented at that time, or is this the first time that a letter is going out saying we're going to start collecting on that, even though it was changed back in 2022?
It's my understanding in conversations that I've had with Beth and others that there were continued discussions about getting the funds back and that there was a need to pay. This was then brought up based again on the fact that it's in all there. We were reminding them that this needed to be done.
Okay, thank you. So the letter that I reviewed from December 2019 definitely told the providers very clearly that they would not need to return these funds unless they terminated their contract with JWB at that time. And I know it was before the policy change was put in. And I just want to point out that you said the intent was due to COVID, but that was pre-COVID. So I'm not really sure if that was actually the intent, since that hadn't really occurred yet. But be that as it may, I think that the issue that I have with this particular situation is that the interim CEO is changing policy, not changing policy, let me rephrase, changing procedure with how things are being collected by the providers. And it did not come before the board. I understand you legally have the ability to do so. I just think it's wonky.
Again, COVID was during that time frame, at the end of 19, I believe.
There was no funding,
19 to 20.
and the shutdown wasn't until March 2020.
It began. I won't argue the specific date, but it was during that time frame based on the conversations that I had that they were considering. The thought was around the need and the need for funds. But clearly, the board made a decision to change the policy and reinstate, I believe, what was the previous policy. That's a board policy. We were, as this team, was responding to the board policy. And then at the same token, we were giving options for those. What's interesting enough is that if you look at the lapse dollars in some of these individual groups, lapsed dollars are well above the numbers that they have there. So, again, easily, they could have been just not reimbursed for that amount of fund and just held back from their budget, because it's clearly, this is a budget, it was clearly to their budget, and it isn't funds that were over and above, it was an advance, a loan towards what they had been budgeted already.
Understood, and I'm not arguing with the what, I'm arguing with the how it's being conducted, and also the how of the timing, in that I feel it created instability at a time when we have an interim CEO rather than a permanent CEO.
I think if you'd ask more than one or two of those providers, you'd hear it differently. I've had multiple conversations with the NFCs. We've discussed the issues. We looked back at the problems and the issues that they had. We've been discussing how we can better service and work closely with them. And at the same token, look at how do we help sustain their ongoing efforts. So clearly we're focusing in on ensuring that they're capable of continuing to operate and servicing the children in this community, while we're also servicing the needs of the taxpayers and to ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely.
Understood, it's just my opinion and concern on the how.
I agree with your opinion, that you have an opinion on it. And this was my opinion, and I believe the way that we looked at it. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much. All right, next presentation, the 2025 Children's Mental Health Initiative update.
Good morning, Board. I am Marlena Satcher, the Associate Manager for Children's Mental Health here at JWB, and I'm here today to give an update on the Children's Mental Health Initiative's fiscal year 2025 activities for the integration of services and related efforts. CMHI is built on a network of strong partnerships across the county. The Children's Mental Health Initiative has over 50 partners throughout Pinellas County. You can see some of them on the screen here. Next. The vision of CMHI, which you can see on the screen, is I think we're missing a slide here. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. The vision of CMHI, which you can see on the screen, is to devise and implement a children's mental health system of care for Pinellas County that will enhance public awareness and provide for an accessible, family-oriented, comprehensive mental health system supported by a skilled workforce. How we get there is through key pillars, which are public awareness, family engagement, workforce development, care coordination, outcomes, and system finance. These guide our activities and are part of the extended CMHI strategic plan. We will take a closer look at workforce development later on in this presentation. The integration has two main partners, which are Evra Health and Children's Medical Center Palm Harbor. CMHI began integrating services in 2019 with 6 locations at Evra and expanding to 8 by 2025. Children's Medical Center Palm Harbor joined in 2021. The pediatricians in these practices have been trained to diagnose and treat low to moderate mental health conditions within their own offices, reducing the need for outside referrals. You'll see data on the next slide illustrating the positive impact of JWB's investment. JWB's investment for integration of services in the pediatric practice were a little more than $3 million in fiscal year 2025. This funds the mental health team at the practices. When you break that down, that's approximately $128 per child on average that's being served. We are intentionally making an investment in prevention, and that's what the $128 represents. This slide highlights the increased access to mental health services in Pinellas County. In fiscal year 2025, there were nearly 9,000 mental health visits in the pediatric practices. I want to point out that crisis intervention visits decreased to 6%, down from 10% the prior year. That tells me that kids are being seen before things escalate, demonstrating that we are addressing a need. Next slide. Now we will learn more about the kids that were served by the pediatric practices. As you can see here, the numbers reflect an even split between boys and girls. Mental health does not discriminate. Also, most of the kids served were 11 years old or younger, which is important for prevention and early intervention. We want kids to get help while they're young. This chart shows the growth of integrated mental health service delivery. As you can see on this chart, demand continues to rise as families access care more consistently in pediatric settings. The unique number of children with one or more visits is starting to plateau, as you can see there, that green line. And we believe that this is due to more children, the same children needing more visits. Yep. Okay, so one of our key strategies is workforce development. Increasing the knowledge and skills of practitioners has increased access to mental health services for kids in Pinellas County. The REACH Institute recently came to Pinellas County for a second time to train pediatricians on how to better diagnose and treat mental health conditions, which helps improve access to care. Kids can now be diagnosed and treated for low to moderate mental health conditions directly within the pediatric practice, rather than being referred elsewhere, so reducing treatment time. The practices that are listed on the screen, as you can see here underneath the REACH Institute, each had pediatricians that attended the training this past January. There have also been four, one more back, sorry about that. There also have been 4 trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy certification trainings to date. And currently there are 22 therapists working towards certification. And then also there was a Autism Learning Collaborative. As you can see there on the screen is another one of the workforce development opportunities. This supports improved ASD identification and coordination. This learning collaborative led to the creation of parent guides that help families navigate the referral process to access services for children who may be on the spectrum. Thank you. Public awareness and family engagement is another key strategy for the Children's Mental Health Initiative. Some of you may have seen some of the Children's Mental Health Initiative resources in the hallway as you were coming in. Some of the resources that we provide are gratitude journals, which have a QR code that links to resources, stress buster wheels, which help to highlight ways to de-stress, children's activity booklets, the parent guides that I mentioned to you earlier, and the Parent Protect subscriptions. We also participate in outreach and engagement events. In fiscal year 2025, the Children's Mental Health Initiative participated in many events reaching close to 16,000 individuals. Now I'm going to show you a short video highlighting a signature event that took place in collaboration with Evra Health in the Pinellas County schools. This event hosted over 400 student athletes from 4 Pinellas County high schools. The message was that mental health is just as important as physical health. So if you guys will watch this short video.
Doesn't mean or always, you'll never struggle, that you won't face hard times, you won't go through trials and tribulations. That's not what that means. But you also need to understand that there are so many different tools of self-awareness, people and things around you that can help you grow through processes and things like that.
As important as your physical training, but a little bit different. It's about your mental health. And at Evra Health, we care for thousands of people in the community. And we've learned that being your best doesn't just mean strong muscles and fast running times. It also means taking care of your mind, your emotions, and giving yourself space to ask for help when you need it.
Do you know how great this city will be in 10 years from now? 15, 20 years from now? This will be the best city in America. If everyone in here decided that they were gonna go through something special. Can y'all do that for me? Say it a little loud. Yes, sir. I see you in 15 years, all right?
So CMHI is transforming children's mental health through integration, training, partnerships, and community engagement. We are proud of the work that is being done and the partnerships that we are building, and we will continue to grow to meet the needs of the community. Thank you for what you have done to keep this initiative moving in the right direction. If you have any questions, you can ask me now, or you can reach out to me and I'll answer them for you later.
Any questions? Smala?
I just have a brief question as to autism screening and where that, is that happening in the pediatric offices as well?
So they are learning tools and tips to be able to better do that, and then also getting guides that they can provide to the families to be able to access the care on their own.
And are you aware, is there anything in Pinellas where there's a mobile screening unit? Do we have anything like that here in Pinellas?
I am not aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Chia?
Thank you. I just have a question regarding what exactly JWB is funding with that, because I know Avara's for-profit entity in pediatrics offices, and so they're integrating the mental health. Are we just funding training of individuals, or do you know what the breakdown is of what our dollars are going to in that?
So we're actually funding positions inside of Evra that are treating kids, and also North Pinellas Children's Medical Center. So case managers, therapists.
And those are JWB employees?
They're not employees of JWB. No, they are not. They're employees of the actual practices, but they get funding from us.
Okay, so we fund Avara to fund those positions?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nobody? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is Preventable Child Deaths Initiative, Mindy Taylor, our Child Safety and Prevention Initiative Lead.
Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Mindy Taylor. Okay, take a deep breath. It's been a long morning. I'm Mindy Taylor. I lead the Preventable Child Deaths Initiative. I have a background in pediatric nursing, a passion for injury prevention, and I'm a licensed practitioner a nurse practitioner in the state of Florida. I also bring experience leading collaborative cross-sector programs and nonprofit organizations, which allows me to combine my clinical knowledge with community-based solutions. Today, I will provide a brief update on Preventable Child Deaths Initiative, focusing on children 0 to 6. And if I can get my technology to work here. Just click, okay, oop. Sorry. I always have a little technology challenge, so we'll go ahead and, the clicker, okay, yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. These focus areas represent the 3 leading causes of preventable death for young children: safe infant sleep, water safety, and prevention of abusive head trauma. Each of these areas represent situations where education, awareness, and community partnerships can save lives. Through these efforts, the Juvenile Welfare Board is not only funding prevention programs, but also serving as a convener that brings hospitals, public health, first responders, and community partners together to protect children across Pinellas County. The Sleep Baby Safely campaign is the cornerstone of the Preventable Child Deaths Initiative. Sleep-related infant deaths are the leading cause of preventable death for children. The Sleep Baby Safely campaign began in Pinellas County in 2018 after data showed concerning trends in sleep-related infant deaths. The launch of the Sleep Baby Safely campaign resulted in a 50% reduction in infant sleep-related deaths. The program was duplicated in Duval County in 2020, which resulted in a 75% reduction in infant deaths. This demonstrates that education and constant follow-up is crucial. Since then, the campaign has expanded significantly, including funding and program expansion to additional Florida counties, the launch of the statewide Sleep Baby Safely website in December of 2025, and in 2026, we continue to expand education efforts and reach across Pinellas County and the state of Florida. This work is positioning JWB as a leader in infant sleep safety across Florida. Since 2013, 90 infants have died from sleep-related deaths here in Pinellas County. As you look at the graph, note the dip in 2018. This is where the coordinated education campaign messaging reduced deaths by 50%. You'll notice it inches up again in 2020, and this was due to the limited face-to-face education opportunities and decreased urgency in messaging due to COVID-19. The campaign requires ongoing follow-up and targeted education in high-risk areas. We are always looking for new partners and methods to expand our campaign reach. Go back one. One important part of education is clarifying the difference between suffocation and SIDS. When families hear the term SIDS, they often believe these deaths are unexplained. However, many deaths occur due to unsafe sleep environments such as soft bedding or bed sharing. We use suffocation when referring to infant-related sleep deaths. Clear communication allows parents to understand that safe sleep practices save lives. To reach families effectively, we work across our community partners using education and coordinated materials to share safe sleep campaign messages. One key strategy is coordinated campaign messaging used across all partners, ensuring consistent messaging at every touch point. Our goal is to meet families where they are so they receive the same message across multiple partners. And now we have a website that is expanding the reach of our campaign messaging. The Sleep Baby Safely statewide website was launched in December of 2025 and expands access to safe sleep education across Florida. Let's take a look. We're very excited about our new website. So it's built off of our previous website, but it includes all messaging for Florida. There are 4 resource buttons. There's parent resources, parents can take a pledge. There are facts and education tips for parents and caregivers, and there's also a partner toolkit. Today, I'm just going to show you the parent resources quickly. So when they click on resources, they will see an interactive map of Florida. We are currently coordinating with other counties to bring them on board so that parents in those counties will have access to these critical resources. When I hover over Pinellas County and click on it, it will bring up the Pinellas County page. All of these pages have the same format. So it brings up our Contact Us page with our Sleep Baby Safely dedicated email and our contact information. As we scroll down, we have resources for parents and caregivers. The first one goes directly to our JWB Safe Sleep page. This second one goes to the, if I can get it to click, oh, no, down here. Goes to the Pinellas Healthy Start Coalition, Beds for Babies. So if parents are in need of a safe sleep environment for their child, they can text or call this number, and then they can also fill out the form here. And then, and this also goes to our Pinellas Department of Health safe sleep information. On every page are the 3 safe sleep tips. Babies should always sleep alone on their back in a crib. Parents should share a room, not a bed, and stay alert while feeding baby. And then finally, we have our campaign champions. We're very blessed here in Pinellas County to have many champions, some who are in the audience with us today. So, okay, now we'll go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you. So this work reflects JWB's commitment to prevention strategies that begin locally here in Pinellas County, but that expand and strengthen child safety across Florida. As you know, in Pinellas County, we are surrounded by water. The second focus area is water safety, which is also the second leading cause of death in children 0 to 6 years. In Pinellas County, 21 children under the age of 6 died from drowning since 2013. What these numbers do not include are the near-fatal submersions that can occur when a child is underwater but survives and can result in complicated medical outcomes, which can be life-changing for families. So looking at Florida data, drownings happen quickly and silently. Florida leads the nation for child drowning deaths. Most drowning incidents happen during non-swim time, often when caregivers are briefly distracted. Notably, 26% of drownings in Florida in 2025 were children with autism. We noticed these increasing numbers and have partnered with Children's Mental Health Initiative to expand resources. Our prevention strategy includes parent-caregiver CPR classes through funded vouchers, preschool water safety education, community water safety events, distribution of water safety books, water watcher badges, and window and door alarms. The goal of these events is to share how quickly drownings happen and empower parents and caregivers to be water smart. Through these efforts, more than 10,000 children and families were reached in fiscal year 25. And finally, the prevention of abusive head trauma is the third leading cause of death in children 0 to 6. Abusive head trauma is often associated with caregiver frustration during intense infant crying. The Period of Purple Crying program helps parents understand that increased crying is normal in early infancy. This education is integrated into maternal and child health programs across the county. JWB supports this education through home visiting programs for new parents and caregivers. Providing parents with this dynamic education helps prevent irreversible injury or death. Preventable child deaths are among the most heartbreaking events any community can experience. The ripple effects that these deaths have on families, relatives, healthcare providers, EMS, and first responders leaves a lasting impact on the community. Many of these deaths are preventable through education partnerships and early intervention. Our focus moving forward is expanding education through both existing and new partners so families receive consistent life-saving guidance, whether they interact with healthcare providers, community programs, and first responders. Even one preventable child death is too many. Together, we have the opportunity to ensure that more children grow up safe and healthy in our community. We greatly appreciate your support in this life-saving initiative.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Your work is just incredibly, incredibly important. And I remember when we were on the board back in 2018, and it was one of those things where this has gone up 100% or 200%, and then we reduced it by half just by doing this. But you have to know what communities to be in, and you have to find these folks that are vulnerable to this happening. And the fact that you have an expertise like that and that it's in this community is super just special for this community. And it's one of the things that makes JWB just an indispensable organization. And I just want to thank you for your presentation and thank you for your work and your entire team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Chia?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. While you were talking about the water, preventable water drownings, I was just thinking about my oldest son in the back of the room. When he was 2 years old, we went to the ocean for the first time. He'd never seen the ocean, and in Northern California, it's big waves. It's like 7-foot waves crashing on the beach there. And he saw the ocean and went, opened his arms as wide as he could and ran straight for the water, like he was gonna hug Mother Ocean. And so I went running after him and scooped him up and said, oh, no, you can't just run into those waves. And I looked at his dad at the time and said, we need to get him in swim lessons right now, because it's never too soon. You can start even as infancy and whatever. And so that's what we did, and he's an avid great swimmer to this day now, and still around probably because of that. So I was appreciating that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much, Mindy. Our CEO report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The CEO, you all have a CEO report in front of you. I think it's important to note as we get back to the programs like Sleep Baby Safely and CHMI in general, remember that this was a program that was started a number of years ago with a public and private partnering due to the fact that there wasn't enough non-for-profits in the space. And that's the reason why this program has continued and has continued to flourish. I think that this is also important based on some of the comments that were made earlier by some of the public. This report would be excellent to be given out to and made public to the public, so they can see what the organization has continued to do specifically, as well as how the staff has continued to focus on children in this community. Just a couple of highlights. Just recently, we have had a press presentation on 3/31 with At Lift Academy concerning our program in the area of autism. We now have over 94% or 94% of our people that staff that work here are now are part of an autistic certified center and are able to go out into the community and to help others who have autism or other issues that have not been realized by most. So it's critical that our staff is out there really supporting the community. Secondly, we have been looking at our Turbo Babies program is continuing to grow, as well as our Parent Pro Tech has now over 819 registered and continuing to grow. I do want to go back to some business pieces where we've updated the P-card program and identified the method in which it better operates so that we can control funds that are going through there and making sure funding is matched up against budget. We have collected all the P-cards. They are given out only by request based on a budget need and then used and brought back into the controlled area. We are focusing in on now travel to ensure that we can better manage and see if we can help, in fact, reduce some of the travel costs by doing a better way of either paying up front or working with the hotels and others where the programs might be held. We're also reintroduced into our program a inventory management system that allows us to better manage and control the inventory of pamphlets, pens, all the other peripherals that we use to make sure that we have enough, yet at the same token, not too much, and we're buying on an as-need basis. We are currently going through the FY27 funding renewal process, and we've, as an example, we've also helped with BOLI in support of their housing programs. We will be presenting to the board at the May meeting the latest update of the draft of the strategy for your review and comment. And I believe that pretty much covers most of the things, although, like I said, we did have meetings with the NFCs, and we're working closely with the NFCs to find better ways that we can utilize their capabilities and services within the community and to support their growth in the community as well.
Thank you. Any questions for CEO? Ms. Chia.
Yeah, I have a question about the autism certification. I just would like to understand more about what JWB staff are doing with that, since JWB is not a provider. I just wasn't sure what the certification is for or how that's being utilized.
Okay. The certification is actually for, and if anyone else, Mindy, if you want to support or anybody, Becca's here, I'm sorry. Becky, if you want to jump in as well. But it's really to support the community and support the individuals that have autism or other issues that they may have that have not been addressed previously by the community.
Good afternoon. So as we know, with the percentage of children, the number of kids who are being diagnosed or with autism or have potential delays, we see our numbers in drowning going up. So this is a training that allows us to be better equipped with resources to support individuals who may be living with autism, their family members, but also those who come to our area and visit. As Mindy mentioned before, we're surrounded by water, and so we're really trying to just increase our reach with resources for the families. We're not providing direct services, but it's just a designation. So if people are looking for resources, they know they can contact us. We're the second in the city of Clearwater, with Lift Academy being the first.
Okay, it's just a matter of having staff educated in that and in recognition of.
That is correct. So in order for the designation to occur, you need 80% or more of your staff within an organization to complete the training.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
Yeah, furthermore, I think because I think you weren't here at the time we got the presentation on autism. It's almost 2 years before a kid even get detected for autism right now in this county. Unfortunately, we don't have enough people that can diagnose autism in Pinellas County. So these kids are going a long time. As you know, with turbo babies, their first 3 years of that brain is working, right? And so their first 2 years are wasted away because we don't know about the autism and they're not getting diagnosed correctly for it. And then after that, the treatment for autism is not even covered by most insurance companies. So these people got to get in-home treatments that are costing $500 to $1,000 for every treatment, and parents can't afford that. So it's something we're working on to try to figure out how we resolve that, how we make that better. Autism's huge, and now we know what autism is. During that presentation, they really spelled it out well, but we've called it Asperger's, we've called it all different names throughout the years of time, and now we know all those diseases actually really is autism. And so now that we know what we're treating and we figured this out, we got to figure out how to get the medical staff here to get these kids diagnosed on time, and then get treatment that's affordable by the parents. The parents can't afford $500, $1,000 a week to get their kid a treatment. So.
Yeah, I understand that. Just so you're aware, with mental health parity that was passed a couple years ago under the Biden administration, that should be covered now under most insurance.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not, because I'm dealing with it.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, I think we should educate on that piece and how to really advocate and help parents to understand what and how they can try and get their insurance to cover it.
So we're doing actuary, working with some people right now with actuary studies on that to figure that out, but it is not being covered. I have a grandson that is dealing with autism, and it's not covered at all. And they have great insurance, unfortunately. It's just, it is what it is. So.
Yeah, I think that that's fightable if you have group insurance or a lot of other types of insurance, but not to sidetrack us, but yeah.
Next is information items. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? Seeing none. Anniversaries, Mr. Bartlett.
Well, let's see here. All right, we got 3 for March. Carl Dietrich, 1 year. Julio Perez, 3 years. And Cheryl Miller, 11 years.
Thank you, guys. Okay, that will move to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
For the record, there were no cards, no comment cards for the open agenda.